how to make $100,000 a year as a blockchain developer. Guys, today is going to be an amazing treat for you because you're going to learn how to make $100,000 a year as a blockchain developer. And I brought on Ivan, who's the founder of Moralis, to talk to you guys about it. So Ivan, welcome, brother. Welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thanks, man. Good to be here. And by the way, thanks a lot for inviting me because I know that your community is big. You do so many great projects here on the channel and you have a very knowledgeable, very respected community. So good to be here. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Man, this is awesome. Now we're actually live on YouTube. We weren't before. Yo, what's up, Aaron? Guys, today we are actually live. So I'll be bringing up your questions or anything that you guys have along the way. Make sure to go ahead and mention that. And we'll bring them up. But I think, Ivan, a lot of people are seeing the crypto boom happening, right? So some people are aping in and trying to invest their life savings. But I feel like there's a much more guaranteed way to start making some income by doing something really useful. And I feel like that has to do with being able to build on this platform and being able to use this technology of blockchain and to build on top of it. You know, what does that really mean? How does somebody build on it? And is there really opportunity here?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And it's the correct place to start from, because when you look at whoever is most successful in crypto, it's not the traders. Whether you look at Vitalik or Charles Hoskinson or whoever that has done anything significant in the space, they're builders. They either build some kind of protocol or some kind of application or some kind of company. So that's very important to realize that the biggest opportunity is building. It is to create something in the space that really makes an impact. And that's the same thing with the internet. When the internet was new, you could trade some stocks. Yes, they went up, then they went down. But the big opportunity is everyone who actually started something, a company, a project. So I totally agree that you have to build. That's the best and most sure way to succeed in crypto in Web3. And when it comes to building, you have to start off by understanding the tech stack. And you have to start off by taking it very seriously and methodically. And I have a whole video on YouTube. If you just Google Moralis Web3 tech stack, you will see I explain it for 15 minutes. But on a big picture, you can start even if you are a web developer. If you're a web developer right now, you can be a Web3 developer. Yeah. Because, of course, all Web3 applications need front ends. And from there, you can start using different tools like Ethers, like Web3.js, or like Moralis, which we build in order to log in users, authenticate, get their transactions, interact with smart contracts, and so on and so forth. But there are many things we can go into. We can speak about front-end space in Web3. We can speak about smart contracts. We can go into many different directions. So it's up to you where you want to go, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think I want to start off with like the opportunity, right? Because for the broader perspective, most of the people aren't developers who are into the blockchain space yet or the Web3 space. I think for a lot of the viewers that might be watching right now, I think, you know, they might even be like, what the heck is this? You know, what's the opportunity here?
Yeah.
And so I think I want to start off with, is there an opportunity here? Does that exist? You know, how much are these developers making? Is that real? And then I think once we kind of covered that, I feel like let's then dig deeper into, you know, the technologies they can use and how we can use maybe even think tools like Moralis to make their lives a lot easier.
Well, of course, there's opportunity. You can look at the wage statistics, the salary statistics, and I think Web3 is among the top. It's even above the AI space and IoT space and everything else that is very up and coming in tech. Web3 is above all of that when it comes to salary and when it comes to opportunity. So that's one way of looking at it. And another way of looking at it is that this technology, no matter which salary you get now, this technology is really the next iteration of the internet. So the salary itself, in my mind, does not really matter because all technologies that are going to be monumental, it's worth working in them no matter what. I mean, you could imagine if you could work for free in Web 2 in the 90s. I mean, just when these protocols were developing, where you could like be one of the first developers to use Ajax to send some requests from your site. I mean, it doesn't matter what you get paid for. You get to work with bleeding edge technology. So there is a lot of opportunity. But I personally, I don't look a lot on the actual salaries and wages because there are many things you can earn money in. It's more for a long term. If you do this in 10, 15 years, you're going to be one of the top experts developers in the world. And that's the best thing
Mm.
with Web3. It is very early on, and you can
Yeah.
actually become best in the world at it. You can imagine becoming best in the world at something like web development. It's impossible, all right? It's
Yeah.
impossible. You will not be best in the world at
Yeah.
it. There's too many people
Yeah.
doing that. But
Right.
Web3, it's so new. Nobody is doing that. So that's the biggest opportunity, that you can do something for a few years and you can really become top in the world at it.
Right.
You can speak
I've
at
seen
conferences, build companies, build projects, whatever you want. Yeah.
I was just gonna say I've seen so many developers, man. When I was trying to hire a lot of blockchain developers to work on our team, and like the people with the most amount of experience, was crazy. It was like 5 months, 4 months, 1 year, and even
Exactly,
that. Like,
exactly.
when I looked at the market, I'm like, yo, those are the senior developers. Like those are the senior
Exactly,
developers right
exactly.
now. So I feel like that way the opportunity is huge. I love your points about it being bleeding edge, right? It's something new that people can jump into and start learning and be ahead of the curve, because it's the advantage that people had who jumped on the internet and started developing on it, or the people that started jumping on new languages and technologies, where like the developers that were doing Pascal and Cobalt and stuff, like that started becoming, you know, legacy technology that very few companies started using in the future. And so I think, to your point, it's really beneficial to stay with the curve and like keep moving forward.
Exactly. And let's also speak about what Web3 is, because many people, they throw out the words Web3, but they don't really understand it. So Web3 is all about the different protocols that ensure that we can have decentralized applications where value is part of the internet, where value transfers and really the value holding and value creation is part of the internet protocols. What does it mean? For example, if you have Ether, you can send it to anyone. You can program it. It's programmable money. So we can hold value, we can transfer value back and forth, and we can build on it as an open protocol. And that's the
Yeah.
best thing for me about Web3, because it ensures that you and I have ownership rights and property rights on the internet. Because without property rights on the internet, we will all be living online very soon. You know, Zuckerberg is investing in metaverse a lot now. His whole company is called Meta. A lot of big tech companies are investing in the metaverse also, because the trend is that we will all be spending more and more time online, maybe in VR, AR. Who knows how the actual form factor is going to be, but the trend is clear. We're heading towards basically 24/7 online experience. That's if you look at the screen time, how much time we're spending, in a few generations, it's going to be all online. But look, if that happens, do you and I own something there? Can we own assets? Can I own some kind of real estate, some kind of item, or do I not own it? Or is it just an entry in the database that can be erased at any moment, which happens all the time with deplatforming, as you know? So it's a very important concept. This concept of Web3 is key. It's a protocol for value and ownership, which is global, which is neutral, meaning that no company, no government controls it. And most important, for us as developers, we can build on it. We can program money, we can create our own assets, we can build lending, borrowing, synthetic assets, derivatives. You can program it. You can never program this before Web3. Before Web3, you have to beg PayPal. Maybe they give you access to their API, and maybe they shut you off tomorrow. And what can you do? You can accept payment. That's it. Can you program? If you have an innovative idea, can you program something?
Dude, I'll tell you once. I'll tell you one story, right? So like, one of the times when I launched my business, I started making an income from, I was accepting money through PayPal. And I don't know, it was like $20,000-$30,000 that PayPal saw come in. And, keep in mind, I went from like not having any transactions go through PayPal through all of a sudden have $20,000-$30,000 come through. PayPal flags it as a high risk, potentially fraud type of thing. And dude, they locked up 20 or 30 grand from me for a year or 2 years, and at that time, that was everything for me when I was starting out. And I was like, this is bullshit. And I couldn't control and I couldn't do anything. Talk to me. Is that something somebody could do to me in, like, if I was, doing this in the crypto world, if I don't know, if I had Ethereum, that was $20,000-$30,000 worth, could I be shut down, or could they mark my stuff as high risk and keep me from getting my own funds?
So you can, on a protocol level, you can do whatever you want. You have your money, you can transfer them. It's cryptographic. You have the private key for a wallet. You can sign a transaction. The network will accept it. Now, of course, if you have a bank or PayPal, for example, they may ban your address. If PayPal adds a feature where you can cash out your crypto into dollars, then they might put restrictions. But the whole point is that we can do transactions between each other without having the intermediaries, without having PayPal or banks in the middle. And that's only one use case. for developers, the best thing that has happened here is that we have the biggest sandbox, development sandbox, where you and I can build whatever we want, issuing assets, like I mentioned, or programming money flows. If I send, so basically, we can create smart contracts. Smart contract is a program that can hold money, and it can decide what to do with money based on our code. And you program this smart contracts in Solidity, which is a programming language that you show very well on the Clever Programmer, which is kind of like JavaScript. It's so easy to start with. And we can program, hey, you send money to this program. If this happens, it will send it there. If that happens, it will send it there. That's maybe the most simple program you can build. If this, then that. Or you can have something more complex, that we can have an on-chain exchange, like, for example, with Uniswap, where people can trade assets back and forth. I have Ethereum, you have USDT, Tether, or something else. We can trade between each other without intermediaries. That's maybe the most insane use case.
So it's kind of like, just to connect it for everybody, it's like, when you say Uniswap, it's kind of like being able to exchange on there. It's almost like being able to exchange on Robinhood without it being centralized in any way and nobody controlling it. And you just get to make your own trades.
Exactly. And the best thing, you can embed it in your app. Meaning, let's say you have a game and you want people to earn some in-game currency, or maybe they kill a monster, they have some loot, they have some gold. Now they can trade that gold for ETH. I mean, that's crazy. It's just a protocol. It's just, you don't have to apply to some, verification, get some PayPal accept. No, you just integrate Uniswap protocol, you list your coin there, anyone can list their coin, and now you can have in-game swapping, and anyone can do it. You can be 12 years old, simple JavaScript, you can do it. It's insane. And that's really what I love the best, that what Web3 is doing to value and money is basically what iPhone did to phones, because iPhone ensured that you can now program phones. You can program phones with iPhone. Before, you had Nokia. They gave you 3 applications. They gave you SMS, they gave you phone calls, and then they gave you the Snake game, and that's it. That's basically what we have before Web3. Before Web3, you have like PayPal, you have Stripe, and that's it. You don't have anything else. Now with Web3, you and I can build anything we want. So it's really opening up this whole potential for a whole development ecosystem where the full talent and the full potential of humankind is unleashed. You can be a developer, you can be whichever developer you want. You can program, you can build, you can innovate. So I love that.
That is really powerful. I love that example you gave with an iPhone. And by the way, guys, if you're here watching this, smash that like button. Let's get this video out to more and more people ASAP. Let's please start smashing it. And we have a question here for you. Can a database of a blockchain be shareable? So I imagine this question basically means, hey, if I have MongoDB, I can share it with people. I can have people jump in. Can that be something that's shareable?
Well, the whole idea with blockchain is that it's shared by default. It's open by default. So all Ethereum transactions are readable and accessible by everyone. So that's what we mean, that it's global and it's neutral, meaning that anyone can read it, anyone can write to it, anyone can access it. And it's amazing for storing financial transactions. It's amazing for storing balances and all of these different basic features of a blockchain. But of course, it's not meant to be used for everything. Let's say that I have a game with 60 frames per second. I mean, of course, I cannot run it on a blockchain, because a blockchain, it's very slow database. And it's basically a mixture. So for example, when you look at Ethereum or Polygon or Binance Chain or Avalanche, it's a mixture of a blockchain, of a database where you can just store transactions, but also of a virtual machine where you can also execute your own custom logic, your own smart contracts based on what's happening on the blockchain. And you can send and you can program money to behave differently depending on what's happening on the blockchain. So it's both blockchain. Definition of blockchain by itself is that it is this decentralized open database, but also with a virtual machine where you can script what will happen with the different coins and tokens depending on what happens, which transactions happen on the blockchain in this database, basically.
Absolutely. Okay, so the short answer is yes, it is shareable, and the longer answer has, I love what you said, which is it's shareable by default. That's the whole idea behind.
But it's not for all use cases. I mean, if let's say I have a game, I make World of Warcraft, but Web3. I mean, I cannot run it fully on chain. It will not work because we can only do 7 transactions per second or so in ETH. With layer 2 is faster, but all the in-game in-game currency transfers and all of the monetary transfers, that can be on chain. The
Mm,
value transactions should be on chain, and then everything else should be off chain, because of course you cannot run the whole 3D
yeah.
3D engine and all of that, and the
Yeah.
whole game backend on chain. It will not work. But
Yeah.
everything that has to do with asset, with value, with ownership transfers, that can be on chain, and that should be on chain. Yes.
Got it. Um, Giant has a comment that he made that I think you'd appreciate, and he says Moralis really made integration of Web3 and React really a piece of cake. So kudos.
That's good to
Nice
hear.
work, man.
That's good to hear.
And
Thanks. Thanks, guys.
just to provide some context, guys, Moralis is a software that, Ivan, you've created, right? Or you've worked with your team to create.
Well, exactly. So I haven't created it, but I'm one
Mhm.
of the founders, and we basically wanted to create an experience kind of like Firebase, kind of like Supabase, but in Web3. Because before
Yeah.
Moralis, you had to have a backend team to even get started. So, for example, when someone logs in with their wallet in your application, if you don't use Moralis, you need to create a backend where you verify the signature.
Yeah.
Then you have to figure out how to get all of their assets, which means that you need to integrate some kind of API and build out and scale it. Let's say you have a smart contract. You need to figure out how to listen to whatever happens in that smart contract, to the different events. So with Moralis, we thought, why isn't there a solution which is just your web interface where you can say, hey, here are all the smart contracts I'm interested in. Just sync them all in real time and put it in my database. Or here is one line of code for you to insert in your front-end application so you can accept users that they can authenticate, and we create user profiles and sessions and all of that. So we basically took the biggest use case possible, which is logging users, syncing user at the transactions, syncing smart contracts, syncing smart contracts event, and made it as easy as possible with Moralis. And yeah, since then we've been growing it, and we have a whole plugin ecosystem and things like that. But the goal from the beginning was to create an experience that is familiar to all Web2 developers that have used like Firebase or
I love
Supabase,
that.
and they want to go into Web3. Yeah.
I love that. I love your guys' focus on developer first and like really caring about the developers, because like that is true. That's what I was doing. Like whenever I would like start building an application on the blockchain, I would like whip up a backend. I would be like, hey, we need to log these users. And when I discovered Moralis, I'm like, wait, that can just all happen at the same time in the same place.
Right.
And you guys have a database, which is super nice. Here's a good question. It took me a second to kind of understand it, but now I understand it, and I think it's pretty good. Mustafa asks, are we super early to jump in Web3, or is it time to learn and build Web3? So my translation of this is are we like too early? Because everybody keeps saying early. So he's saying, is it like too early where there are not even that many opportunities there, so maybe I should wait? Or is this the right time to actually start learning and building on Web3?
Well, of course, it's the right time, because what's your alternative? Are you going to be a normal web developer? Look, you're competing with 30 million. You're competing with everyone in the world, basically, who is also a web developer. What are you going to do? Are going to you can go into AI and spend 7 years learning the deep math of that, and which is, by the way, fantastic. But it's overly hyped. I remember in 2017, when I was still doing masters in university, machine learning was so hyped. I mean, all of the world's smartest engineers are already in machine learning. So look, what are you gonna do otherwise? Web3, I love it because of the opportunity and because of the unfair advantage. Because we're still in a stage where the mothers don't tell their kids to go into blockchain, right? Because this is when it's too late. When you have the average mom telling, hey, you need to become a Web3 developer, it's too late. And guess what? Now all mothers are telling their kids, go become a doctor or become a developer, okay? But not a Web3 developer. So this is the perfect opportunity. And I personally, I love all industries where people have not been thinking too much. What do I mean? Well, look at Web 2. There are maybe thousands. If you if you spend any time thinking about ideas in Web 2 or technologies in Web 2, and you just add everyone who has been thinking about Web 2, probably it's thousands of years. Humankind have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of years thinking about Web 2. If you just put everyone's thinking time after each other, and look. If you're going to come into Web 2, maybe you want to build some kind of thing with React or something, some kind of iOS app. Look, it's too late. Whatever idea you had, it's probably already discovered and it's tested, and there is already a market dominance by someone. and there is already a monopoly probably. So there is too late. But Web3, we haven't been thinking a lot. There are so much opportunity and so much arbitrage, basically, that you can discover a problem and chances are it's not solved. Chances are
Yeah.
you're one of the first people trying to solve it. So I definitely think that it's not too early, and the earlier the better, because you have more time to establish yourself, and it's all about your conviction. Do you think that Web3 is needed? If yes,
Mm.
that it cannot be too early. If you still don't
Right.
understand it, study more, read about what it can be, and be convinced. And when you're convinced, then it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I think for me it took me a while to get convinced, but I think what got me in initially were like the monkeys and being able to make money very, very quickly. And then that's what got me in. And then I lost a couple of trades. I like got rug pulled. And then I was like, you know what?
Yeah, yeah.
I really need to learn this. And then I actually started enjoying it. So I came for the memes, but stayed for the tech,
Right.
right?
That's great. And
And
also, many people, they say, "Oh, and NFTs are so dumb." NFTs, this dumb apes. Many people that are more, veteran in crypto, so to speak, they complain. But I love NFTs because they get us so much adoption. People really find them fantastic. It's a community. I see graffiti. I think it was in New York City. I saw a lot of graffiti with this bored ape. So it's, I think they have given us a lot. They have given us so many great people, developers like yourself, and it's been a good push for many people to get into Web3, because before that we had DeFi, which is decentralized finance, lending, synthetic assets, derivatives, but that's too complex for the average Joe. It's too complex. People don't know what derivatives are, but people know what collectibles are, what game assets are. So NFTs, it's a perfect segue, and I think NFTs will give Web3 worldwide mass adoption. We're still not there, but it seems to be the avenue for sure.
yeah, I think NFTs as well as gaming. I feel like the
Exactly.
future of gaming in this space is going to be really, really massive. I have yet to think about how they're going to start integrating it later into like mainstream games. But one of the games that comes to my mind is FIFA. Like FIFA would be the perfect, because FIFA has its own stock
Yeah.
market with like 5 million active users. I used to buy cards and see if I have Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo or whoever else, and I would unpack the cards all the
Yeah.
time. And then like my brother is always watching the FIFA stock, like which player's value is going up and down. There's millions of
Yeah.
trades going on in any given second, and so I'm like, I feel like if the blockchain were to figure out its way into something like FIFA, you would have like a average kid making $40,000, $50,000, $6,000 a year just playing games at
Exactly.
home.
Exactly. Well, that's one. Another one that I really like are these physical brands like Nike, for example, that now have an opportunity to digitalize themselves. For FIFA, this may not be the perfect opportunity because they are already digital.
Yeah.
They have all of this transaction volume. They're already digital. But when you look at business opportunity, I think for physical brands, it's fantastic because imagine if Nike, they have a shoe and they create an NFT which can be redeemed for this special shoe. And now people can trade this NFT between each other and speculate. And maybe
Uh,
people will trade it 1,000 times before someone actually redeems the shoe. And Nike can take a cut of all of the transactions. And that's a very nice business model for someone like a physical brand that wants to now become a
right.
digital brand and digital fashion. So that I
Absolutely.
think Nike can 10x their revenue probably by doing some special
They
digital
did
editions
they did
and going
launch
heavy.
yeah, they launched their project and it sold out. It was huge. One of the projects
Yeah,
that they
I
did,
heard
them
that.
and
I heard that.
Adidas. Zephyrine asks, I have no professional working experience. However, I have worked on a couple of hackathon projects on Web3, having trouble landing my first internship/job. Suggestions.
Well, I have many suggestions. You need to figure out which projects you want to work with, and don't just send them the resume. It's too many people send the resume. All projects, and by the way, it also applies to Moralis, to our project or to anyone else. They have a community. because that's the most important thing in Web3, that you have a community. Maybe it's on Discord, on Telegram, somewhere else. So if I were you, I would start being active there. Let's say that it's some kind of a product, maybe a game or something. You can start helping people out. Maybe there's some bugs, you can start fixing them. Maybe there is some opportunity to contribute to their open source repository. You can start doing that. So instead of CV, be active in the community. Of course, you can also send the CV, but there are just so many. And CVs will be reviewed by the HR department, and they're going to look at it differently compared to if you contribute to the open source repository and you're going to get noticed by a dev, or you're going to do something in their community and you're going to get noticed maybe by one of the founders, because founders look at the community a lot, and you're going to have different people look at you. So I would recommend that. Be active in the community, have a portfolio. Of course, I mean, that's a given. You need to have a portfolio, maybe GitHub, maybe something else of projects. And if you want to practically build up your portfolio, you can go to moralis.io/projects. And we do this weekly projects, kind of like you have here on a Clever Programmer. So you can, of course, subscribe, of course, to Clever Programmer here. You're doing also projects. But do that. And then maybe adapt them. Maybe continue building. You watch Clever Programmer, then continue building something. To put a twist to them. Or if you are in Moralis projects, do the same. So you have a good base, and then you can continue building and making them your own. And step 2 would be to be active in the communities. And I think you will very quickly find a job this way, because I know for myself, we've taken a lot of people from our community that we hired, and some of our best hires have been from the community, because they already love Moralis. They're already engaged. They're already basically working, but in their free time. So it just makes perfect sense that we start working for real, and they become part of the team. So community, be active in the community. That's the best thing. And it doesn't work like that in Web 2. Let's say I want to work in Google. I mean, there's no Telegram to go to. Like I cannot be there in there some kind of Discord chat. But in Web 3, it's all Discord. I mean, and that's because it's so early. We're still like in Discord, like figuring out things. And maybe this was like IRC chats in the past. I wasn't part of that. But we're still early on. People, whoever you want to meet in Web3, you can meet them. You can meet them in a chat group. That's the best thing with Web3.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting really nice questions, man. There are a ton of questions. One of the questions that just actually came in, I want to address this actually, is how long will it take me to learn blockchain tech from scratch? So assuming somebody's a complete beginner and they're just about to start learning, how long does it take for an average person who's maybe a little bit of a developer, has some developer experience, but they want to learn blockchain? How long would you say till they understand it and can do things with it?
I think it can be in a couple of months, and it all depends which niche you want to take, because there is no such thing as, learning blockchain completely. It's like learning internet completely. There are so many things. I can do front-end, back-end, DevOps. I can go into Spark, Cassandra. All of the different back-end systems. It's impossible to know everything. So you need to pick your niche. If you want to be in front-end, for example, you can check out Web3 UI Kit on GitHub, which is also a project that we're contributing to a lot. And that's where you can find a React library which is compatible with your current knowledge, and you can very, very simply plug and play it into Web3. So Web3 UI Kit if you are a Web3 developer. If you want to write smart contracts, you need to learn Hard Hat, you need to learn Solidity. And it's going to be a longer journey, but I think you need to do that because it will show you how you write your own smart contracts. You can program money. It shows you how to program money. The fact that you can, and it's not difficult to start. Imagine you have a Java class or Python class, but you change a few syntax ways of writing different variables and loops and stuff like that. And now you have a Solidity program which can accept money. It can decide what to do with money. So learn Solidity, and you're gonna use Solidity together with Hard Hat. So Hard Hat is like this dev tool that allows you to deploy contracts and to manage your contracts.
Absolutely.
Well, also, by the way, before you do any of this, you need to, of course, install MetaMask and figure out how that works, and use the different applications. Use OpenSea, use Uniswap. You have to be a Web3 user first before you can be a developer. I mean, that's an obvious thing, but very easy to miss, and an important thing to mention, because many people that want to be in Web3, they may not even use Web3 yet. So maybe spend a few months just using it. You need to, so for example, if I were to give you a list, buy an NFT on OpenSea, figure it out. Make a trade on Uniswap, figure it out. Go into YEarn, and do some stake some assets there and earn some yield. Poke around with this. Maybe invest in some ICO, like just for trying one of these token launches. It's not even called ICO nowadays. It's called launchpads. So you can go to launchpad, just to try it out, put in $50, see what happens. So you understand how to claim tokens, how to stake tokens, how to participate in all of these different operations that people do in Web3, like for example launchpads when new tokens launch. Of course, don't put any serious money into this because you don't know anything. You're probably gonna lose it because of the many ways you can also lose funds in this industry.
That's how I got in. That's how I got in.
You can get
Yeah.
But
I go ahead. Go ahead.
You're gonna lose more by not trying. You're gonna lose more in opportunity cost by being on the sidelines. So best you lose, let's say you get rug pulled, which is a way of way of saying that you've been scammed. Let's say you get rug pulled, okay, lose $100. Maybe you lose a whole career if you don't try it. So exactly, that's a good one. You lose more money by not trying it. That's very true.
Yeah, that's golden, man. That's a golden one. That's exactly what I thought. I thought, man, I'll lose much more if I don't try. And I went in with the money that I was willing to lose because how do I expect to win? I'm brand new to it. It's like going to tennis for your first time and just going, I'm going to fucking crush everybody. No, you're not. You're going to lose. You're going to get destroyed. Like I came back from jiu-jitsu today and I'm like relatively new to it. So everybody just smashes me and I'm just like tapping out. It doesn't matter who they are. They're like choking me out. Right. So I expect to lose. Yeah. I'm like that with the whole world of crypto. I jumped in expecting to lose, but I love all the strategies that you were giving at the end, which is like buy an NFT. Even if it's like $10, like it can be the smallest, cheapest NFTs you guys can buy. Actually make a trade and you'll end up learning so much. I learned way more by actually doing things than like any blog article that I read because I understood, there's like ETH and then there's WETH, which is wrapped ETH, and you can convert it like this. And yes, I need to use Uniswap, and I was trying to do some really degen stuff, and like my friend was showing me slippage and all this crazy stuff.
Exactly.
And
like, but you don't have to get too deep. Just build a wallet. So you get a MetaMask wallet, you get some ETH into it. So you fund it with some ETH. Then you do some trades with NFTs, with Uniswap, and spend maybe a few days doing that. Then you can start developing. So you can go to Moralis. You can go to docs.moralis.io, and then you will start learning how to build a dashboard for your wallet. So basically, next step is just build a website in React where you can connect your wallet and where your website can then show you all of the things you've done. So you can show so you can build. Then you can build yourself a website that shows, okay, you have this many ETH, you have this many tokens, this many NFTs. Then here are all your transactions. Because then you can start, you start feeling, man, this is actually programmable stuff, I can connect. Yeah.
I really like that. I want to actually build that for myself because I hate opening MetaMask. I think their UI is like terrible. Exactly. Phantom has an amazing UI. But like MetaMask UI, like, yes, I would want to build something of my own that shows how I'm using the money, the trend. That's actually a great idea.
So next in the roadmap is that you can create your own coin. So after you've done this, that you've just interacted with a bunch of stuff, you can use Moralis to build a dashboard. Next, you can launch your own coin using Solidity and Hardhat. And you don't even need to know Solidity because there are templates. So you can go to OpenZeppelin, which is a website with a bunch of different smart contract templates. And when you want to launch a coin, you basically deploy a smart contract. You deploy a small program, which is like a Java class. You can think about it, but it's Solidity class. But in Solidity, it's not called class. It's called contract. And you deploy it. And you just say, hey, this coin, it has 1 million coins in circulation. And you give them all to your wallet. And then you can send it to the different other wallets. So that way, you've also now deployed something on chain. You've deployed an asset on chain. You've done something. You've started programming money. It's not only that you program where you read from your wallet, which was the dashboard step. Now you've actually deployed your own asset. You're programming on the blockchain now. And then sky's the limit. Look, at that point, you will know enough to figure out the rest yourself. Because at some point you reach some escape velocity, and you know how to research on your own. Then you kind of know, I want to learn about lending, or I want to learn about more NFT related technologies. So when you reach that escape velocity, you will understand on your own where to go, which tutorials to watch. You will become independent.
I love that. Um, this question looks pretty good, so I'll pop that up here. Hamza asks, do we need to have previous software engineer experience to excel in Web3, or starting in Web3 and sticking into it will also help us excel, as some big Web3 companies like Consensus want that experience?
Well, I think if you are completely new, it's like with all programming. It's better if you have programming experience than not have, of course. So you just know that you will probably have to learn the basics first. Probably it's better to learn JavaScript first before going into Web3 or Solidity, because in JavaScript you have big community, a lot of books, tutorials, courses. So I would say before going into Web3, learn JavaScript and learn normal programming, because it's all needed anyway in Web3. You are learning Web3 by learning JavaScript, and then you can enter afterwards. And if some big web, like someone like Consensus will hire you, I don't know if that's it's like entering web 2 and asking, will Google hire? I don't know, man. Probably there are way more opportunities for you to do something on your own, or do something else, than to aim for Google instantly, because it's not even for everyone. But and even if it is, it's basically no Consensus, they do MetaMask, so it's like, will MetaMask hire you? I don't know, maybe in a few years if you work hard.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Yeah, these companies are think of it like the Google of tomorrow, and the Facebooks of
Yes,
tomorrow.
yes.
These are like the big companies that are growing. You have more chances of honestly joining one of these than, like, say, Google, because they have like standardized their way of testing and they're so rigorous. Right now with Web3, what I've noticed, opportunity is insane. And a lot of people and companies just want talent that's willing to even show that they're willing to learn, because everybody's new. Like, most
Yes.
people honestly have
Yes.
months of freaking experience. And I know
Yes.
founders that are hiring them, including myself. And so I think as long as you have your heart and passion in there, you can definitely jump in, and it's a very practical thing for you. So going on the whole thing of, you're like, okay, learn Solidity, learn these technologies, and then you can start building stuff. Then what? Like, so I learn stuff, I can build stuff with this. Then what? Do I just start applying to jobs, or do you stand by your way of, I go into communities and just start adding a ton of value there as a developer?
Well, I mean, it depends who you are as a person. If you are more entrepreneurial, you could see a problem in the industry, and it can be many different problems. So, for example,
Mm.
it can be that you come from a country and you see, oh, there's no like reporting tax tool for your country, or it may be, oh, I see this use case with DeFi, but there are no good wallets for it. Maybe let's create a
Mm.
wallet. Or you see some other thing, like there is a coin, but it's not easy to take it cross chain. Maybe you can build a bridge. And in all of these different use cases, there are of course ways to monetize it. Whether it is that you have some kind of fee, or you have some kind of token that you can monetize through, you're really gonna figure it out yourself as you go along. But at the end of the day, it depends who you are. Maybe you want to join a company like a Consensus or something else. Maybe you want to join a traditional. Maybe you see that, hey, you have a big company that is Web 2 and now they're going into Web 3, and you can help them a lot because you are now one of the top experts in the world because you've studied for 2 months, which is
Yeah, yeah.
which is how
Let's
Web3
go.
works.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really up to you. And I mean, when you start getting into this, you will see more and more opportunities popping up. It's kind of like, you and I were thinking about the medical field. We're like, so okay, I learned medicine, and then what? I'm a doctor. I am like, local hospital. That's my limit. But of course not. There are probably like many different ways that you can excel. But before you
Yeah.
start entering into space, you won't notice them. So start doing, and invest your time, because it will be worth it.
Right.
At the end of the day, there's nothing else you can spend your time on right now that will be as worth it as Web3.
Right. Exactly. And a lot of it is about timing, right? Right now, doctors might not be exploding, but like when the World War II was going on, I mean, holy shit, the opportunity to
Right,
become
right, right.
medical or doctor was probably exploding, right? So it's like that matters. Gregory Horn has a really good one. And Ivan, by the way, whenever you have to leave, just let me know. It's all good. But I just feel like we got
Yeah,
a
yeah.
good energy going, good questions coming through. So I'm going to
Fantastic.
keep
Let's
going on
let's
my
keep
end.
going. Let's
Gregory
keep going.
asks, is it preferable to develop a dApp that runs on a Web 2 traditional domain, or a Web 3 blockchain domain as part of a portfolio?
Well, you can do both. You can show that you know how to do Web 2 and Web 3 because it doesn't that you can have both. But of course, most dApps, they are still in Web 2 domains. Although you can, of course, use ENS or you can use unstoppable domains or other protocols. I know there is also Handshake, I think is another one. But none of them are really, massive. And you can definitely do both in most cases. That you have a Web 2 version and then you can upload it on IPFS and connect an ENS domain, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. That's a great way to answer that question. People are really enjoying that we're both on here. They're like, "Yo, Ivan and Qazi on the same stream. Let's go." This is sick. We'll definitely want to have you on here more. There are many critics about NFTs that are a Ponzi scheme and Web3 is a hype. Any thoughts on these? I know kind of what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
And I know generally kind of what people's consensus are. I don't know if you want to expound on this at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can speak for hours about this. Well, first and foremost, Ponzi scheme, people don't know what it means when they even say it. I mean, what is a Ponzi scheme? Ponzi scheme is I take money from you, I promise you a big return, and then I promise the same return to the other guy, and then I take his money and give to you as your return. And then I find the third guy and I give his money to the second guy. And that's a Ponzi scheme, all right? NFTs is just like any other market where people buy and sell things. There's no promise of return. There's no one that takes your money and says, hey, you give it to me, I promise you. That would be a Ponzi scheme. NFTs are just assets that people trade. With any assets, whether it is real estate, stocks, NFTs, you can have a market where the prices are irrational. They go up in the skies, and people become greedy, and there's a lot of speculation, which means that, yes, we may have a crash, and people that bought at the top will lose money, and people that sold at the top of the market will earn money. So it's just natural. And look, whenever there's a new technology, it always creates these bubbles. If you look back, when trains were a new thing, you can Google this. If you're watching this stream, go Google railway mania. You will find that in 1800 or something like that, 1800 in Britain, there was a new railway company starting each month. Why? Because railways, people thought, man, trains, railway, it's crazy. We can transport things across continents. Let's build companies. Let's invest. Let's make great things using trains. Well, of course, it became a railway mania. And how many railway companies you have now per country? One, maybe two. So it consolidated. The same thing with cars. Go and watch how many car manufacturers there were at the beginning of the previous century. Hundreds and hundreds. Everyone was starting a car company. Let's build cars. It's a new technology. It was hyped. People were doing cars left and right, and it was a hype. It consolidated. Now maybe 10. You have Mercedes, you have Audi, you have a few others. The same thing with internet. Early on, everyone was like, hey, let's do a company, .com this, .com that. People were foaming in. There was a financial bubble, and then it consolidated. So probably the same thing is going to be with NFTs. Most of these projects is going to die. A few of them are going to be successful. And it's always like that. When a new technology comes that is great, it's going to create a hype. It's going to create a bubble. People are going to earn money. People are going to lose money that are speculating. But people who build and actually do something in this industry, they are the guaranteed winners.
Absolutely. I think building, you can't go wrong with building, because even if you let's say lose financially in the short term, you're gaining so much experience to actually build something greater in the future. So I feel like with building, you can rarely go wrong. At the very least, you've developed your skill set and now you can go work for a company, right? So that's the big thing about building. This is a really good question. We have a senior developer in the house, and he asks, is moving to blockchain Solidity a good idea for somebody with 13 years of experience with Java, Node.js, and architect experience as well? And how much salary on average can be expected considering person is already on good salary?
Well, I mean, you can definitely expect very, very competitive salaries. I mean, we're seeing everything from 200K to 300 and above in some cases, depending on your level of seniority. Because you have to understand, smart contracts, if you deal with hundreds of millions of dollars, which if you are good, you will be doing that. I mean, your code will be guarding hundreds of, sometimes billions of dollars in this industry. So of course, when you're dealing with that, and I mean, we also have many hacks. You can just Google. Recently, we had the $600 million hack. You can Google a run-in network hack. It was last week.
Sheesh.
600 million was stolen. But this is the kind of things that you're doing in this space. I mean, you're programming money. You're programming money. So of course it can go. It can vary a lot. But if you're really successful and you know what you're doing, then sky's the limit. And you should definitely start in Solidity. If you're, but it depends on who you are, of course. If you're hungry, you're hungry for success, you're hungry for new adventures, you're hungry for new horizons, then it's a no-brainer. If you want to be a Java developer with a good salary and feel comfortable, then don't do it. If you want to be in new horizons and explore new things and take on a new industry, then it's a no-brainer, of course. But yeah, I don't want to say that everyone should do it, because there are different situations. Look, if you have family and kids, you want to be very safe, stick with your Java and where you are right now. If you are a bit more risky, you want to try the Solidity thing, maybe work in a few protocols, maybe it works out or doesn't work out, then absolutely, it's you should do it. You should do it.
Yep. And as you were talking, I don't know if you saw, but I was just highlighting job opportunities.
Yes. We're seeing.
And yep, and you got your averages. So these are averages on the left, middle is the minimum, and then these are some of the maxes,
Yes.
on the really, really high end. So you guys can go to web3.career to see.
I think that one is good for, but I think what they got wrong in that list is the highest, because once again, I mean, a lot of these devs they guard hundreds of millions. So I think when it comes to the highest, it's got to be higher than that. I mean, in many cases,
I saw some that were 600,000 to 750,000 as well. I think Alex Becker too in the field, right? I mean, at least watch his videos and stuff. And his developer who helped him launch Neo Tokyo, I think cleared over millions of dollars, working with them. Yeah. So you have those rare, right? Because a lot of companies, what they're doing is they're giving a percentage as well of like the token or whatever.
Exactly. And I think in many cases, if you are a very good Solidity developer, I mean, very, very good Solidity developer, I would do that. I would go into some kind of project that is doing some kind of NFT or some kind of asset. And I would, instead of having a big salary, I would instead go for tokens. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, basically you're almost getting equity in the company that you're with, and I love the idea of tokens, because I think, when will Moralis release its tokens? Do you guys have something like that?
Well, it could be on the roadmap. Nothing is decided yet, but before we do a token, we want to be fully established. We want to be already massive. We don't want to do a token, and then we're gonna do things, which unfortunately what most people do. We want to do a token when we have already changed the world to such an extent that our token is already number one on the number one page on CoinMarketCap easily. We don't want to be on some page 10 on CoinMarketCap. So for us, we're delivering first. We're delivering first, and then what happens. Yeah.
Wow, I love that. I will tell you one thing. This is something rare, but I look for a lot of qualitative feedback regarding people's products and services and things like that. Moralis has really good qualitative feedback that I've been seeing around. Like, I'm not even trying to push this down anybody's throats. I'm not even like mentioning. It's like from people in the community, YouTube videos, even videos where we weren't doing Moralis. Like there will be a comment here and there talking about, hey, can we use Moralis? Nice. And I really like it. So that's big, man. That's big to do that.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah, you guys should be very proud of yourselves. And I think you guys are building something phenomenal. Really makes developers' jobs easier. So that's amazing. Ivan, do you have any more thoughts or anything more that you want to add? Oh, by the way, guys, that was an April Fool's joke. I'm not deleting the channel. I'm just fucking around.
I shut off Twitter because I accidentally started to retweet some stuff which were like, they kind of sounded true, but then I realized, man, I've been retweeting the jokes. Like there was a guy who said, I'm starting my first day at Google today, but goodbye Web3. I was like, whoa, fantastic, still good, it's Google. I was like, yeah, congrats, man. And then I was like, wait. Yeah. Then I deleted everything and shut off Twitter until tomorrow.
Oh man. Yeah, Big Bill, I see what you said. Senior backend developer is paid more than junior blockchain developers are switch worthy. Um, I don't know. You decide, man. You decide. I think that you could go into job opportunities that have back end involvement, plus they want you to do blockchain, and they might be willing to pay you a decent amount to be able to do that. Because like
Right,
it's
right.
not like all of a sudden Web2 is just fucking vanished. You know what I mean? Like you still need Web2. Um, like if you don't have your Web2 Wi-Fi, your Web3 won't work.
Exactly, that's true. And I mean, at the end, of the day, it all depends on the person. If let's say, like you say, if you're a backend developer and you can slowly nudge yourself towards Web3, maybe let's say you're a backend developer and you're in a big company, maybe you can just start pushing for Web3 projects, because I assure you that all corporations, they want to be in Web3, they want to be in metaverse, they want to, because for them it's important, because they're investors,
Yeah.
the shareholders, the stock price may demand that hey, why are we not expanding, why are we not exploring, we're going to be dinosaurs. And if you then can start nudging yourself, you're not taking too big of a risk, maybe you're in a big corporation, you're starting to move more towards Web3, maybe you can establish a Web3 department, you can be the Web3 guru evangelist in your company. I mean, that alone can 5x your salary, probably. If you show that you're like the best expert they've got on this, probably you can 5x your salary.
Yeah. There was a great question that came in earlier that I didn't ask earlier, but I'll ask now. Somebody asked, what kind of potato are you using for your camera, Ivan?
That's a good one. So actually, yeah, I have a new lens. A new lens that should do my background very blurry and very nice, but it's too much blur, and I still haven't figured out which how it should. And look, I'm so bad at cameras, I think you just click on it, but yeah, at least you can hear me. You can use it as audio.
Yeah, I think it's just your Wi-Fi is down. I think your camera is
or maybe
probably
Wi-Fi.
good.
Yeah.
I think it's just your Wi-Fi is making it look like that.
Yeah, probably.
Cool. This is Doobie had a follow-up who, the senior blockchain, no, not the senior blockchain engineer, but just senior developer, it seems like, who wanted blockchain info. And he's like, I'm doing a ton of Udemy courses. Are there accredited certifications which have value in the industry, helpful in getting a job, like a blockchain council or something?
No. It could be if you are applying to jobs in Web 2. Like, let's say you want to work as web blockchain at IBM or something. They may care about these things. If you work in Web 3 and you build this, it's you're not gonna need it. These certifications, they're mainly for corporations. They're mainly that you can say that you have it, and corporations can say, we've educated, because imagine I'm a middle manager in a corporation. I want to show that I've pushed my team into Web3. So maybe I'll buy them some certificate just to say, okay, guys, now we're certified. So that's mainly what I'm seeing, that it's a lot for corporate use case, that they want to upskill their workforce and get them into blockchain. But practically, it's not really needed if you work in this industry. And it probably, as this industry matures, they're going to be more and more needed. But right now, I rarely see that it's some kind of decisive factor whether you have some certification or not. Instead, it's your portfolio. Are you active in community? Do you know the protocols? Do you know how this industry works? That's way more important.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think it's like on the blockchain, you just build things that you can show them literally on the blockchain. Be like, here's what I've built. And as long as you can go in with what you've built, I think that's going to speak way more volume than a piece of paper would, at least in this industry. And I love that answer. Like Web2 companies would probably care, but other companies wouldn't care that much. Yeah. Nice. I like that you caught that.
My camera is potatoing in the middle.
It's all good. It's all good. This is a good question, I think, because, going off of, okay, we want to make $100,000 a year as a blockchain developer. What are the steps? What are the processes? So this question goes along with that theme really well. Ubong asks, so what is the right way of learning Web3 and smart contracts in that case? Hey, look at that, dude.
There you go. And another option, another angle. Well, the right way to learn Web3 smart contracts is by doing. So maybe you can watch a few tutorials. Just search Web3 tutorial, Solidity tutorial. You can go to Moralis Academy. We have a bunch of courses and tutorials there as well. And there we can also we give you a counselor, basically someone that will help you and guide you. If you want more personal approach like that, go to Moralis Academy. But as soon as you got the basics, you kind of know how to do a smart contract. You kind of know the basics, like the bare basics. Then you need to build things. So here's where you can watch Clever Programmer, the builds, or Moralis projects if you go to moralis.io/projects, because that will give you the practical context that you need. Because without the practical context, you're just gonna get stuck in the tutorial hell. You're gonna watch videos and read some articles, you're gonna read Twitter threads. You're never gonna actually have the practical context. So all in all, learn some simple Solidity. You can find a lot on YouTube or Moralis Academy. Then you can learn some simple Web3 and React. You can use Web3 UI Kit. And as soon as you feel that you can kind of do something with it, build full projects. So that's what I would do.
I love that. And what is a full project?
Well, for example, what you guys are doing on the channel, like Web3, Twitter, Amazon. I mean, that's a good example. Or like we're doing on our channel, at Moralis channel, we do similar things, and we also do game engine integrations. Like for example, if you want to do a Unity game and you want to connect it with the blockchain, we have a perfect course on that coming out on this Saturday, for example. So basically, finished use cases, where you go from 0 to done. A use case can be that you build a dashboard for your wallet. Like I said, maybe it's the simplest one. Then another use case can be that you launch a token, and now you can have a dashboard for your wallet and your token where you can issue new coins, you can transfer them, you can do different things with your coin, maybe stake them, maybe burn them. Just very simple stuff that I'm thinking on the fly. Maybe next thing you have is that if you deposit 1 ETH, you get a token. So you basically can build a token sale. Yes, it's just to experiment. You can have a smart contract, a program on the blockchain, which receives 1 ETH, and for each ETH it receives, it sends you 10 tokens. Very simple thing. Next thing, you can integrate with Chainlink. Maybe Chainlink is next big frontier, because when you integrate with Chainlink, now you can have, look, if there is a frost, if it's a minus degrees outside, we pay the money. If it's plus, in Fahrenheit, it's something else. But look, if it's cold outside, we don't pay you. If it's warm outside, we pay you. You can have real world data into the blockchain. This is, of course, important for insurance. Let's say that you have crops. They're gonna die if it's too cold. It would be nice if it was an automated smart contract that paid you instantly when it's too cold, for example. So you can start plugging in real APIs from Web 2 into the conditions that decide what happens to the funds in your smart contracts. So I mean, some very simple stuff, and then you will figure out. And look, you guys ask so many questions. Oh, should I do this or that? Just do something. You're gonna be analyzing. You're gonna be asking and analyzing. Just do it. Stop asking me questions. You just start building and stop thinking, because it's the same with in normal programming. People ask me, hey, Ivan, should I do Python or Java or JavaScript? I heard Python is good for machine learning. Java is good for this corporate stuff. JavaScript is good for web. I don't know what to choose. There's also Haskell and Rust. And a month later, they still haven't decided. They're still analyzing. Is it good salary in Java? Man, just do it. Just start.
I love that. Yeah. Guys, seriously, jump in. I love that. I think you'll find out a lot of these answers by just jumping in. So that's good. Dude, I had a random thought while you were talking. I was like, what if could you build something like where, I was just thinking of doing this literally with my friends, where they could bet on YouTube creators, like how many views their next video is going to get. And if that video gets that many views in the next 3 days, they automatically get the money.
That's nice. Exactly. That's a perfect one for Chainlink, that you can connect YouTube API to your smart contract. And let me tell you another thing. You can have a lossless bet. What do I mean by that? Let's say that you and I, we bet on some outcome. So you put in $1,000, I put in $1,000, and then we can put it into something like Compound Protocol. We send it into a smart contract. It starts earning interest. So this money we put in, in a week, it may be not a $2,000 that we put in collectively. Maybe it's now 2,100, or I don't know the exact interest rates now, but you can basically create a lossless lottery or a lossless bet where we only compete for the interest that we both generated. So let's say you put in money, I put in money, we generate interest. Whoever wins gets the interest that we collectively generated. The rest gets refunded to both. I mean, that would be impossible without Web3. You cannot do something like this where you can earn interest like per second. You earn interest per second. In a bank, you earn it. It's not like per second. It's not real time. So
yo, that is a sick idea. That is sick.
That's a sick.
That is so cool.
Let me tell you another one. Another thing that is not possible without Web3 that really bends your mind. It's flash loans, where you can take millions of dollars. You right now, if you know simple programming, you can get $10 million in your wallet with one condition. You have to repay it in the same transaction. So you get $10 million. If you don't repay it, the whole transaction is just aborted. It's reversed. So you lose the funds. But what does it mean? It means that you can now funnel this money through smart contracts. As long as you return it back in the same transaction, it's all legit. This means that, let's say that I see an arbitrage opportunity. I see that this coin is trading for $1 on this exchange, but it's trading for $0.9 on that exchange. So I can take $10 million, I can buy it for $0.9, I sell it for $1, I return the loan. It's all in the same transaction. It's all in the same transaction, and I keep the profit. So this flash loan concept you should really look into if you're interested in the new financial primitives. We call it financial primitives. Basically, this basic financial operations that you can do in Web3 using smart contracts that you cannot do anywhere else. And flash loans is a good example. Whatever arbitrage you see, you can act on it with endless capital, basically, through this concept of flash loans.
Damn. That is so cool. So flash loans makes sure that transaction you're about to do, it verifiably gives all the money back. And if it doesn't even fire off.
Exactly. It just gets reversed. I mean, that's insane. Yeah.
Okay, so you can't, in simple words, like I can't fuck it up, right? Like there's no way I can like just lose $10 million. Like guaranteed that if I borrow it, it's going to get back.
The only thing you will lose is the transaction fee. So all fees, transactions on Ethereum need to pay fees, but that's like any other transaction. So the only thing you risk is the transaction fee, because that you're gonna pay either or, even if transaction gets reverted and basically this loan fails.
So but then how do you go through different exchanges, and you know what I'm talking about? Give me 1 second. I think she wants to go outside. My bulldog.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Yeah, guys. So for all of you watching, we're gonna get back soon. There you go. Dog evacuated.
Yeah.
So the way it works kind of like promises in JavaScript. You can do different things. You can do this request, then take the response, do that request, and you can chain promises after each other and just funnel them, one to next and next and next and next. The same is with Solidity. You can say, hey, take the funds from here, put it in this program. Okay, take the output, put it in that program. Take the output, put it in that. And if at the end of the day you have a profit, because let's say you used an arbitrage, you bought some coin in here for 0.9, then you saw another place, another program, you could sell it for $1. You have a profit, you return the loan, perfect. And by the way, this is it's also a bigger topic, because let's say that you are smart and you see such an opportunity in the real world where you say, hey, wait, there are some assets trading cheap here and expensive there, maybe on some stock exchanges or something else. You cannot act on this opportunity without capital. You cannot act on arbitrage without capital. But now in Web3, everyone has endless capital to act on these arbitrage opportunities, which in turn create efficient markets. But it's a more economical topic, but it's very interesting. Yeah.
That's an amazing one. Have you messed around with it personally?
Yeah. You can go to Aave. Let me see if they still have it in the docs. Aave flash loan.
So you did a flash loan and you made like some profit? I mean, even if you lost money or something like that, but you made some money on it?
No, I haven't done any money on it. And by the way, it's not easy to do money on it, because if it would be easy, everyone would do it. It's not easy to do it. You really have to spend a lot of money finding this. And because anyone can do it, it also means that everyone does it all the time. I mean, that's why because the opportunity is open for all. It means that it's very difficult to find a way in. But you should research a recent example where somebody used it in a very smart way. Basically, if you held a Bored Ape, you know that you got ape coins. And so some guy, he did not have money to buy an ape, because an ape costs like 200K. He got a flash loan. He bought the NFTs in one transaction. So he gets flash loans, like millions of dollars. He buys the NFTs. He gets the airdrop token, which is like hundreds of thousands of dollars. He sells the NFTs. He returns the loan, and he keeps the airdrop. You can Google it. Ape. Let me see if I can find it. Ape.
That's genius.
Flash loan. So just Google it. Let's bring it up on the screen. Just Google ApeCoin flash loan. So that's an example where, look, if you have brains, you have now a tool with endless capital to act on these opportunities. Is it going to be easy? No, this is not free money. You have to be smart. But you know that if you find a way where you need a lot of cash to buy something, maybe to claim some airdrop, like this guy, he didn't have money to buy ape. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy that ape NFT. But you take millions of dollars flash loan, you buy the ape, you get the airdrop, you sell the ape, you return the loan, you keep the airdrop.
Jeez. So, it included 5. This fall generated on a... Okay. Wow. He bought a bunch of apes, huh?
He bought a bunch of apes, claimed the airdrop, sold the apes, returned the...
They then sold these tokens on the decentralized exchange for 399 ETH. After this sold... So, with flash loans, does all of this need to happen in a matter of like 1 second? Or can this happen
So this needs to happen in one transaction, yes.
But like that one transaction, but what I'm not understanding is how could you possibly do this? So it's like, is that one transaction happening over a period of seconds in real life? Or is that happening over like...
No.
You could take a week to make that transaction happen.
No. It needs to be in one transaction, meaning that it basically needs to all happen in the sequence. Basically, so how does the blockchain work? You have blocks of transactions. So on Ethereum, each 10 or 15 seconds, a bunch of transactions get executed on the blockchain. And so your transaction needs to be structured in a way where when the Ethereum virtual machine executes it, this all needs to check out when it does it at the same time. So it's not like over weeks. It needs to do it at the same time.
Got it.
And each transaction has a certain gas limit. So basically, it means that each transaction, you can say how much you're willing to pay for it. And that will depend on how many computational steps it has to do. So there is a limit how much you can do. You cannot have an infinite loop in a transaction because you will run out of gas. But you could tell it, hey, go into this smart contract, send money there, take money from there, send it there. And if it doesn't check out at the end, let's say that you cannot return the flash loan, the whole transaction is just invalidated. It gets thrown out. If it does check out,
I was just going to say, can you do flash loans on the DevNet?
Let's see.
Because that's like so scary, right? Like if the only place you could execute this is on the mainnet.
So by the way, Google, how do flash loans? Let me send you a video because we've actually done it, I think, on a testnet. On Avalanche, which is like Ethereum. So if you go to YouTube and you search DeFi Flash Loans 2022, I think you'll find our video because we did it with one of our instructors, Danielle. So Google DeFi Flash Loans 2022. There you go. Flash loan course. That one. Click on that one. Flash loan course. So this is on our channel. You guys. Is that Daniel? He's fantastic. He's done this basically. Where you execute, and it's 1 hour long course on flash loans, where you have this app where you can try it, and then he explains to you. He uses Aave, and he does it on the Avalanche testnet, where I think they have this capabilities. Yeah.
Oh, this
and
is
it shows you how it
sick,
works,
dude. Does he have the code for me? Oh wow! Look at how nice he is. Yeah. What a nice guy. Got it. I always, when I was new, I always thought this .sol meant it was like .sol. But then I learned it's Solidity. I thought I was like, wait, I'm like, everybody's
Exactly.
developing in Solana, huh? Interesting.
Solidity, exactly.
Oh, okay. Wow,
But
this
yeah,
is
here
super cool.
you can see how it is. Yeah.
Damn.
So with smart contracts, you and I, we can publish programs on the blockchain, and that program can be that, hey, take the flash loan, do this, do that. It's like JavaScript, with promises. But with JavaScript promises, it's mainly requests. You say go to this API, then take the data, go to that one, and you chain them. In a smart contract, you can do the same thing, but with funds. You can say, put in that one, take out, bam, 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 and
Yeah.
then you can do a transaction that calls that smart contract, and then it's gonna execute it on the
Yeah.
blockchain. Yeah.
Yeah. No, somebody says, so the blockchain technology is all about trading. No, it's not all about trading. It's just one aspect of it that he was showing. We were talking specifically about flash loans. So flash loans, there's a lot of like trading arbitrage that you could pull off with flash loans. So that is where we were talking about trades. But a blockchain technology, you could use it for a lot of things. Like, for example, people are sending money to Ukraine to fight off the Russian war, and that's an easy way for Ukraine to collect money, because I don't know how else I would send it. But like with crypto, it's
Exactly.
super easy for me to send it, and they can get it right away. And so they've raised hundreds of millions of dollars because people are able to, like, I donated. And usually I never donate anywhere just because it's like inconvenient. But like here I was just going and it was so easy and simple. And my wallet, like I went to the website and my wallet just got connected. And like I pressed one button. I'm like, yo, this was
I mean,
super
and
nice.
and when you try that, I mean, that's where you see the light. When you see your wallet being connected to all the different websites, and you can
Yeah.
you're logged in instantly everywhere. You can start interacting with all apps with your identity, which is your wallet. That's so amazing. And it's really, when you see that, you see that's how finance should have been on the internet. That's finance on
Yes.
the internet. That's how it will be.
I
It's
think the
no
only
brainer.
things that scare me that I don't understand how they would work is like some of it is, so when I think of blockchain, some of it makes me laugh because I'm like, it's not CRUD anymore. It's just CRA, CR, because you can create and read, but you can't update or delete. So some of the things that confuse me are like, okay, if on Instagram I make a post and then I'm like, hey, that was stupid, let me go and delete that,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
that
that's why
like,
you don't use blockchain for that. I mean, blockchain
right.
is it's not for everything. That is something that you probably should not put on a blockchain. But blockchain is
Oh,
for value. That's why in a way it's kind of connected to the financial space a lot, because it's value. It's value online. You have value. You have assets. You have NFTs. You have tokens. You can
yeah.
trade them. You can stake them, and then you can connect them to other non-financial experiences like games, for example. Like,
Yeah.
for example, Instagram, you can have that if you get a lot of likes, you have some kind of membership coin generated or NFT generated, or if you, let's say that you are a music creator and a lot of people listen on your song on Spotify, you get a
Mm-hmm.
revenue share in real time. So all of this value and
Ah.
ownership. So blockchain is for value and ownership transactions and value and ownership programming, which of course includes a bunch of trading, because you can trade that, but also includes how you store it. You can, for example, say this money we have here, if you sign a transaction, you alone cannot spend it. We need to be together to spend it. Maybe if we have a
Yeah.
company together, or maybe
Yeah.
if we're 5 people, we can say 3 of us need to accept the transfer. 3 or 5, for example, needs to accept the transfer. So
Wow.
that's why I think many people confuse it that everything should be on chain, and and then they see, but World
Yeah.
of Warcraft cannot run on chain, so it's
Like
it's
if you
worthless.
guys, so say you get two or three developer buddies and you guys are like, hey, we want to invest in courses and like learn about blockchain. You could make this like DAO type of thing with 3 of you, where only all 3 of you have to agree to decide on buying a course. That's like $10, $20 or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's like fun. That's like your $100 budget for learning blockchain or $200 budget for learning blockchain. And you guys can all decide. And so at a like person to person level, you could use it that way. Or if you're founders of companies, you guys could use it as like 2 founders deciding on a decision. And it's beautiful because it's trustless. And so it doesn't require trust. Like it's just guaranteed. It needs to happen like that. I think some people were asking flash loan specific questions. So Tambo is like, what is the maximum time for holding that flash loan?
It's
not
the
about
same
time.
transaction. So there's not. Don't think about time, because you have a transaction.
I
which is
guess
like a piece
like
of
one
code.
thing. I guess one thing that's like
Yeah.
blowing my mind, I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around is like, how do you purchase like 8 apes and then
Yeah.
like go to Uniswap and then sell them and then keep the airdrops? Like when that's happening in one transaction, I'm thinking it's one transaction.
Well, it's very easy. I mean, just think about a normal program. So the computer executes a program. The computer knows the state of the different data structures. So for example, the computer knows that, okay, these people have apes.
Yeah.
And these people want to sell apes.
Mhm.
These people have ApeCoin and they give ApeCoin if you have ape. Okay.
Mm.
So then this guy comes and it's just, a program that says,
Yeah.
okay, take money from the flash loan, then buy ape with it. It's just like, imagine all of this was just data structures in your
Yeah. Yeah.
program,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you can just change them, and once you finish it, you end up with a final state, which is okay. You got the airdrop from this guy because he gave you it, because you had the ape which you got from the flash loan, and the flash loan you got from these guys that give you a flash loan if you return it at the end of this execution, which you now, by the way, can do because you have a profit and you can now return to these guys. So this whole thing checks out, it's accepted, it's stamped, put on the blockchain, and the final state is that, okay, their ape coins are now in your wallet. The guy with the flash loan got his flash loan back because you returned his funds, and whoever sold you their ape, they're happy because now they got the funds from the from your sale. So it all checks out. Everyone's happy, perfect. So don't think about time, because I don't know if that even makes sense to think about time, because on Ethereum you have a block maybe with 1,000 transactions. I don't know how many it is in the block, maybe 1,000, and they all just get executed at the same time. And so think about it more as executions, and
Got it.
they all happen at the same time. Then you wait 10 seconds, a new block comes, all of them are executed at the same time.
So
There's no, like, don't think of it as time or something. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense. I understand. Okay, beautiful. Wow. So I think, people are enjoying this. Oh shit, Goron is here. Is this the same Goron that I know? I don't know. Maybe it's a different Goron. But we love you too, Goron. So that's what's important. Beautiful. So I think we covered a lot, man. I mean, people are still asking a ton of questions, and somebody even asked, like, it seems like Moralis has all the tools. Like, what is the full stack on blockchain? Because they're like pretty much every tool they want to look up, Moralis has. So, I guess in that case, if you have tools like Moralis, what is the full stack on the blockchain?
Well, Moralis is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you, but for example, you still need to do the Solidity code yourself and program the smart contracts on your own. So that's still needed. So smart contracts are needed still, even with Moralis. And I think if you Google, so you need to Google DeFi, Web3 tech stack. Let's see if you go to YouTube